Right, so it's been 2 days, more or less. 2 days, 2.5 days, and 2 days for these two trades, okay? So both of them futures trades, both of them with 10x leverage, and both of them showing very different results because the charts basically behaved completely differently. So let's have a look at Chainlink, which again was, this is how a chart should look. This is how to make a margin trade, alright? You get in at a good entry, and it goes up. That's what you wanted, right? So that's kind of what I was expecting, and that's what I got, which was great. Unfortunately, XRP, a very different story altogether. Got in at an entry point, and then all the way it went down, and even a couple of my little, because if you remember the way that I spoke about how these futures bots work, these greens represent little longs, and actually a couple of these little longs were liquidated, but only a couple of them. The ones that remained have managed to drag me into profit by the tune of 35%, which is crazy if you think about it. It's absolutely crazy that it's done that. No one ever in history has ever entered a margin trade at a higher level doing a long position and ended up being in profit, this far down. That's not how it works. If I entered here, which looks like roughly the first entry point, and this is where the price action is right now, at 10x leverage, I would actually be 87% down. I would be 87% down. That's almost a liquidation point, actually. 100% is a full-on liquidation of your entire amount. 80, 87, 88% is what that actually is, which is very close to a complete wrecked liquidation point. But not in this case. Not in this case. It's actually brought me into profit by 34%. So I'm not wrecked. I'm actually in profit. So this, I suppose, goes to the point I was trying to make, which was all theoretical. But now it's good that we've seen a trade do this. Because I'm not saying that this is going to happen every time. I don't want to mislead you into thinking that there's a false sense of security here where you can press the button and it will make you profit regardless of direction. That's not the case. As you can see, I set two bots up. One went the right way and clearly made way more money. The other one went the wrong way and luckily didn't go down more than 20%. Because if it did go down more than 20%, that would have probably liquidated my entire position completely to a zero. We actually went down by... Actually, no, it probably would have been a lot more than 20%, probably about 30 or maybe more percent. So it's very forgiving. Actually, I remember it particularly. It was down here. For some reason, that was my last liquidation zone about there. So I could have sustained a full-on 23% retracement on the chart at a 10x leverage, and still hung in there until that zone where I would have been wiped out to a zero. So I don't want you to think that this is a magical bot with a magical button that will make you money in any direction. But in this example, at least, it did pull back from my entry point to a maximum of 16.5%. And then it did perform a bounce and recovered to an extent, but I am still, from my entry point at the price at the moment, 10%. Which is, like I say, that's 9%, which is basically, with 10x leverage, that's like between 80 and 90% of my portfolio, of my investment would be down at that point. I would be completely wrecked. It's actually brought me into profit. So, like I say, it's not magical. It's not magical. It's the way that the bot is designed to stagger your longs in little increments on the way down, and then drag you back up again. If in this situation, in a downtrend, my futures trade has actually made me money, which is kind of unbelievable. But like I say, the idea really is to try and treat it like a futures bot, but like a futures trade. Get in at an appropriate point and sell at an appropriate area. And so for me, I am going to close these bots down now, and it's good that we've seen this work in two different ways on the same tutorial. One that's significantly better than the other because the trade went the right way, and one which, well, first of all, isn't wrecked, but secondly has actually made money in a downtrend using futures at 10x leverage. Right, so I'm just going to close these down, and then I'm going to set a new one up just as a tutorial to show you how it's all done. Right then, so we're going to set up a futures bot just for the sake of a tutorial. I'm just going to use Algorand, and I've established on the 4-hourly here that it does look okay. I'm not saying it's the best thing in the world, but I do need to set something up for this tutorial. So I'm going to choose Algorand. It looks better than most. So I've applied my TA on here. There could be a trade take place on this one, and so we're going to set it up on Bitsgap. So I've got it in here, so my pair is algo, I've searched for algo, I've got algo here, and automatically when selecting it, Bitsgap has created a grid range for me. Now, because I'm looking to use this, and this is what I tried to explain, you know, if you're looking to use the futures bot, you should treat it like a futures trade, which means that you want to get in at the right place. So, you know, if you really had attention to detail, you would wait for the most appropriate time to enter the trade. But for me, you know, yeah, I'm trying to show you how lazy you could be, but really, I would much prefer you to try and, I suppose, think about what it is that you're doing. So, you know, we're going to use a little bit of money here. We're going to use 322 just for fun. So this is going to spread my my longs amongst all these grids. So the first entry I'm going to do is not going to be for 322. I mean, I explained that in the first stage of the video. I'm going to change my leverage on this one. I'm not going to go too crazy. It is just a futures bot for tutorial purposes, so I'm just going to change it down to a 3x leverage, and I'm going to keep this as isolated. I did mention the reason why we do that. We want this to be changed. We always want this to be isolated because I don't want my entire margin account to be at risk from a bad trade. I just want this to be at risk. If that gets wiped out to a 0, that's fine, so be it, but nothing more than that. So we're down at a 3x now, but you can go all the way up to a 10x. Now if you really wanted to, and this is something that it's completely up to you, when I do normal margin trading, I always have stop losses. In fact, I use Bityard as my preference to do margin trades on, because you can automatically preset any long position or any short position with risk management. But with a futures bot, as you've already seen on the XRP situation, you know, technically a downtrend can work out for you. So this is my preference. You have to choose if it's going to be yours. But my preference, as shocking as it would be, because I am very conservative with my trading, I'm all about risk management, but actually when it comes to using a stop loss with a futures bot, I'm not going to do it. I'm just gonna accept that this is all at risk, and that because the overall risk is limited by the fact that it is a bot and that these are incremental steps down and incremental sells up, my risk has been reduced massively from the fact that I'm using a bot rather than a normal margin trade. As you saw with the XRP example, it is possible to make money in a downtrend even if you've gone long. I wouldn't advise, you know, holding out on that prospect, but it is true, and you've just seen the results of that. But if you really did want to have a stop loss, you can create one here. A stop loss can be put in, and that would be a stop loss from the first entry point, and this would also be trailing, which means that each one of these longs that get opened would all be stopped at this position. So the last one would only be opened there and would be stopped there. The first one would be opened here and stopped here. All of these grids, if they were all opened as longs, would all be stopped at the same place. So that's that. You can also do the opposite when it comes to taking profit. You could have a take profit area. All your longs in profit, they're all going up, they've broken outside of the grid. You could sell all of them at what you would consider to be an area of significance where you think that the chart would reach its peak. So you can treat that very much just like a normal futures trade. Me personally, I like to leave it riding, and again, this is completely different from my normal margin trading strategy, which is very much about limiting risk and taking profit. With this, I will keep an eye on it. I will close it manually. I'm willing to risk the lot, and that is how I choose to use the futures bots. But that's my strategy. Like I say, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a bit more conscious of your risk management. But for me, that's how I use my combo bot with Bitsgap. I have no take profit, I have no stop loss. I let the thing do its thing, and when, or if and when there's enough profit for me to be happy with, I'll just take the profit. Like you just see me do today. So those two bots have been going for 2 days. Between the two of them, it's over 100%. It's about 150% profit between the two of them. So that's not too bad over two days of trading with relatively small investments. Do you know what I mean? Small margins. So that is how you would set the bot up. So if I'm ready to go, I've got it all set up as long because I expect it to go up. If I did think it was going to go down, I would press short, but that's not how we're going to do it. And I just scroll down and press start the bot. The bot has started. I'm in the game. Let's see how this one pans out. And again, we're looking for this one to, normally I would leave these trading bots to run their course, but because it's margin, we are looking at smaller term time frames. We are, I suppose, thinking about taking profit way more than we would do with the spot bots. And any profit is good. And because it's an isolated margin and these grids will take profit automatically, it does bank, and it will be banking small portions of overall profit bit by bit. But generally it's up to you if you want to close the whole thing down if you've had enough. So hopefully that's okay for you as far as the tutorial is concerned. There isn't a demo account from what I understand with Bitsgap using the futures bot. There is with the spot bots, but not with the futures bot. So it is something that you'd have to do. You'd actually have to put some skin in the game. If you're new to all of this, don't go crazy. Use small leverage, use small amounts, and don't go risking enormous quantities of money until you understand what's going on. But as you've already seen, the risks are reduced enormously when it comes to futures, and that's been shown on that first example. And if you do decide that you want to go ahead with this, I've got links for Binance below and Bitsgap all below. And yeah, it is possible that you can make money on a futures trade going long in a downtrend, but that is definitely not its intention. But it's clearly proved to be possible. Anyway, thanks for watching, and good luck if you decide to go into this, because it is a good tool to have in your toolkit. It's not the only thing I use. It's just a little tool that I use, and it generally has worked out pretty well. Have a nice day. Take it easy.